Hello everyone, I'm Ling Jun. A century ago, Mr. Lu Sun mentioned the word passerby in the preface of his short story collection called To Arms. Passersby refers to those who were born to be indifferent, like to stand by and watch numbly. Every time something big happens, they will just stand by and observe with their cold stares. Today I will share a classic short film with you, Bus 44, which criticizes passersby. In a freezing December, all greens were withered in the bleakness. It was in a northern suburban wood. A bus moved on a desolate road. The driver was a young and attractive woman. In the dreary and dull winter background, she dressed in red, as if she was a fire radiating warmth, and no one would not take a shine to her at a glance. The bus moved slowly, but a sad-faced young man got up and stopped the bus midway. Because robberies were commonly seen here, he stood on this road with his luggage for like forever, but not a single driver would dare to give him a ride. The chauffeurs was kind-hearted, seeing him looking anxious and starting to wave from far, she stopped the bus. The man, at once, got on the bus with luggage, thanked the non-stop. Other passengers were slightly panicking for a second and the man boarded the bus, and started snoring soon. The man was a bit shy, with a hint of guilt, and started looking around. Accidentally, he noticed the work badge hanging in the bus, and joked, "This photo does not look like you." Although the driver laughed and said she lost weight, it was obvious to the man that she was covering her colleague's shift. He couldn't help but sigh, in his mind, there were not as many warm-hearted people like her nowadays. While thinking about it, he soon found a seat and started napping. Not sure how long had it been, the bus stopped in a squeak, and inertia woke the man up. He tried focusing his eyes, saw there were two men in front of the bus, and one was lying on the ground. Seeing this, the driver stopped the bus, and asked them anxiously for what had happened. As she got no replies, she then worried that if the man on the ground was getting a sudden disease. So she opened the door and let them in. But they were conscienceless robbers who often disguised themselves as pedestrians on this road, and the second they got on the bus, their true faces were exposed. By holding knives in hands, they forced the passengers to hand over their possessions. Coming across such a terrifying thing, everyone including the driver started panicking. They took out money tremblingly. One of the robbers held a sack, taking it from head to tail of the bus, and collecting money. A mid-aged man refused to hand over anything. Without hesitation the robber gave him a nosebleed. The driver was anxious, and told him to hand over the money quickly in a whisper. Her brave words were purely out of her kind heart, but the two robbers only noticed her good looks. It wasn't enough for them to rob all the money. Being filled with lust, they grabbed her hair and dragged her out of the bus. On the desolated ground, she begged for help from the people in terror. Her body weakened out of fear and her scream was shrieking. But no mercy could be found in robbers. They dragged her to the ground, and she never stopped putting up a fight. However, a woman's strength was no match to man's. They dragged her all the way to a faraway meadow slope, and wanted to rape her. Even though everything happened in a sudden, people had realized what was going on, but chose to look away. They shrunk up like quail, and no one would get off to help. The guy who got on the bus midway was shocked. He yelled at them asking how could they just look. A middle-aged man at the front wanted to get up in hesitation, but was pulled back by his wife at once. There was a war going on in the man's mind. After a long hesitation, he decided to help. He rushed forward, dragged one of the robber's leg to stop his act of evil. But to his surprise that guy had a knife on him. As they fought, the man's thigh was stabbed and blood kept coming out. Maybe he got no energy left, or he didn't dare to. So under his own eyes, the robbers defiled the driver. As their act of evil kept going in the wilderness, her shriek echoed above the meadow. People on the bus still kept looking through the window in numbness. They were like frogs under the light, unable to react. After a long time, the robbers finally left, and the driver stumbled back to the bus with blood in her mouth. She looked around in despair, only to find them avoiding her eyes. Hate and regret filled up her heart, and her kind belief collapsed in one moment. As if it was the freeze of winter filled up her bones, she took a long while to get her sense back from the numbing pain. She saw a dog knick-knack shake head in the front of the bus, suddenly buried her head into the steering wheel and burst into tears. The man who tried to help her slowly dragged his wounded leg and respectfully apologized to her. To his surprise, she raised her head in a sudden, asked him to get off, and threw his luggage out from the window. The man was baffled. Although he didn't try his best to stop the unfortunate, he was the only man who helped her. Why was he the one who got evicted? Seeing the bus drove away, with regret he could only pack his luggage, and keep marching on the road. Luckily, he came across a car that was willing to give him a ride. As the car moved slowly among the hills, soon they spotted a police car in front of them. The policemen set up police lines near a mountain stream. Seemed like an accident had occurred. The man asked out of curiosity, and the police told him a bus crashed, all 44 passengers and 1 chauffeur died. The man was shocked and froze there, came back to his senses after a while, and a smile was unexpectedly brought up on his face. Although he knew he shouldn't have been gloating like that, the happiness of his lucky survival still fully occupied his mind in that second. Bus 44 is a classic short about humanity directed by Wu Shixian. The story is originated from a true event, and the film won Best Short Film in Venice Film Festival, as well as several other awards. The short 11 minutes tell a story that sends chills to the bone. In a mere second, viewers felt like they relived the classic novel by Lu Xun, criticizing fellow weak and foolish nationals in the past. In the story, the driver was a kind-hearted good person, but when she encountered danger, people chose to look away. This seeming absurd scene can be also spotted in the news from time to time. And the film's treatments on details are also very spot-on. For instance, to lay the groundwork for the driver's warm and kind personality, the director first put her in red alone, to have contrast against surroundings. Then the camera cuts to her work badge on the bus, hinting that she was covering her colleague's shift. It not only shows that she's kind and warm-hearted, but also paved the way for the following plot that she let people in without guard. Because it was her first time driving on this route, she didn't know there are robbers disguised as pedestrians. The director didn't describe how brutal it was for the driver to be defiled by close-up, instead, he used a calm wide shot, which was a very clever approach. It was the view from the passengers in the bus, and when the camera cut to them, it was a close shot instead. Because in this scene, the main character was not the driver, not the robbers, but the passengers. Circling back to the male character, who heroically tried to save her. Regarding why didn't he save the driver successfully, and the smile in the end. My personal take is this: the man was trying to save her, but after getting slashed by the knife, he didn't have too much strength left. Still, he didn't give all he had. Because he was afraid of the robber's knife, he didn't go forward again. There are 2 reasons behind my speculation. When the driver was in danger, the man was in long hesitation, and his facial expression when he boarded the bus again can be very intriguing. As for his smile, in the end, it was due to human nature. Even out of morality, he knew he shouldn't gloat, but after knowing he survived the disaster, in that split second the feeling of fortunate was real. After watching this film, I feel the world is in fickleness, and public morality is not what it used to be. If only more people would stop the crime, instead of burying their head in the sand, this tragedy should not have happened at all. The passengers were indifferent, and the driver was also blinded by hate. In the end, no one survived on the bus except the guy, really made people feel sorry. At last, I would like to extend from here, don't the passengers on the bus look like the egoism that can be found in people of today? Nowadays, doing good deeds needs to be thoroughly considered, or one might end up in court. News like such is no longer news. Vice Principal of Peking University once said, "You are one of PKU, when you see a fallen elder, go help." If he blackmails you, the law faculty in PKU will offer you legal aid. If you lose, PKU will pay the compensation for you. Does his words ignite the passion in your heart? Yes, it does. But in some level, they also sound a bit pathetic. Most people in the world don't have a backup like PKU, and doing good deeds has too high of a price to pay. Looking away, minding one's own business, seems not acceptable morally. How can the young of today not be depressed? Economical pressure, mental pressure, nothing is avoidable. If one encounters the unfortunate, no one would dare to help. And if one sees unfairness taking place, once he thinks about his elder and his children at home, he wouldn't step forward either. But the world is developing towards the good after all. The progress of society, the growth of the young, and the population of cultural literacy, human civilization, and laws are always being improved. The road ahead is long and sometimes there are storms or mist, but still the future deserves us to look forward to. Well, that's all for today's movie sharing. If you like this video, leave a comment below or a like would be much appreciated. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so that you can see more videos like this. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.